Josh Thompson says there'll be changes regarding eye poke rules. There's going to be some changes soon. I heard it yesterday and today. Basically, this might happen by next week. They're going to make some changes quickly, and it's going to basically take things out of the ref's hands. The ref will not be able to make a judgment call. It'll happen quickly. Something UFC preparing to introduce stricter penalties for eye pokes, potentially allowing refs to deduct points immediately rather than give repeated warnings. Joaquin Buckley says he was supposed to fight Alex Pereira a few years back, but the fight didn't happen. Pereira shares a DM from 2022 where he tells Buckley, "Why did you send me this post? Out of the 15 that ran for me, you were the first. Now go back to the end of the line." Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland training with one another. Strickland wants to return in January or February and take on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He feels a win over Fluffy will earn him a title shot against Hamza Chimaev. That's the guy he ultimately wants to fight and beat. Alex Pereira, coming off his win over Ankalaev, wants to return in June 14th at the White House, move up to heavyweight and take on John Jones. Sean Strickland says, Joe Rogan, wow, Trump is bad. ICE is bad. Meanwhile, flees California with 10 times the illegal immigrants to Texas to live in a $14 million all-white home neighborhood to talk to each other, rich white people, why ICE and Trump is bad. You can't make this shit up. Trump 2028.
So I'm at the PI, litmus list of my friends, and they don't like my hat. She doesn't like my hat. I'm telling her, dude, upstairs there's a Mexican Olympian. So what better hat to wear when I'm about to go violate their rights? This is the best hat for it.
These action figures look bizarre. The guy on the left I thought was a fat Yusuf Zalal, but it's actually supposed to be Islam Makhachev. Then beside him I thought it was Brad Riddell, but that's just Michael Chandler with a beard. I don't know why they gave him a disguise. The guy in the middle, I wasn't sure who that was. Didn't know who he was, but the tattoo gave it away that it's Israel Adesanya. I guess the girl is Alexa Grasso, but not sure, I assume. And then the guy on the right, you can tell is Max Holloway, but they're all plump munchkin-sized figures. Jorge Masvidal pushing to fight on the White House card in June. I've been training for 2-3 months now, calling Trump and everybody. You got to get me on this card. Hopefully everything works out. I'm still down to fight Leon because we got all the history. Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal would have been a pretty interesting fight a couple years back when they had their beef, the 3-piece and a soda beef. Now it's not too interesting. Edwards is fighting Prates in a couple weeks. We'll see how that goes. Masvidal last competed against Nate Diaz in a boxing match, and he actually lost. He was a decent-sized favorite in that fight, but he lost the decision. As far as MMA and UFC goes, he lost his last 4 UFC fights, most recently against Gilbert Burns in 2023. Before that, he lost to Colby, Usman, and Usman again. Usman seems to think he'll be either fighting JDM or Makhachev next. He looked good in his last fight, but he's not in title contention. A win over Buckley and then turning down the Bilal fight and being 1-3 in your last 4 on a 1-fight win streak doesn't get you back into title contention, especially in a division like welterweight. It's so busy at the top in terms of contenders. Rank number 1 is Bilal, who, if he has an impressive performance against Ian Gary, maybe he gets back in line, possibly into title contention. If Ian Gary beats Bilal, then he becomes a new potential title challenger. Sean Brady is right up there, but if Michael Morales beats him, then Morales is right up there too. And then you also got Shavkat Rakhmonov. Then you also got Topuria talking about moving up to welterweight and facing Islam Makhachev, which will annoy top welterweights hearing that, because that would be 2 lightweights taking their spot and fighting for the welterweight belt. The Cajun Johnson versus UFC antitrust lawsuits taking a turn as Dominance MMA, Ali Abdelaziz's management company, has been subpoenaed to hand over extensive communications and records related to its dealings with the UFC. The fighters suing UFC are seeking emails, text documents about contracts, sponsorships, and payments, and any evidence of UFC influence over fighter decisions. Dominance MMA objected in August. They filed a 30-page response claiming it's a small operation, only 1 employee and several contractors. Complying would be too costly and disruptive. They argued that many of the requested documents aren't theirs to disclose. UFC should provide them, and the plaintiff's requests are overly broad, calling the process a fishing expedition. But the court rejected those objections and issued strict deadlines requiring Dominance to cooperate. By late October and November, they got to identify all devices and accounts with relevant data, agree on search terms and vendors with the plaintiffs. The development is significant because Dominance MMA represents a large number of UFC fighters, including champs, and has been involved in many major contract negotiations. If the disclosed communications reveal that the UFC exerted influence or control over managers or fighter negotiations, it could potentially dramatically shift the scope and impact of the ongoing antitrust case. Ronda Rousey doesn't like the way MMA fans treat their legends. In her opinion, she's not happy with that. You look at the WWE, and there's such a reverence for their legends in MMA. It's like the second that you're not on top, you're shit, and you were never worth shit. For the most part, MMA fans seem to respect the legends of the game, but with Ronda, they really didn't like her. At least hardcore fans didn't really seem to like her that much when she was at the top of her game, and when she left and fell off, they also didn't like her. So there are definitely many who do and did appreciate her, but there's a decent-sized sentiment of hardcore fans that never liked her at any juncture in her career. But as far as fighters falling off and losing and fans shitting on them, that does happen, but when they retire and leave, fans just seem to have a little bit more appreciation and reverence for them. But Obviously, it's hard to box everyone in the same category. There's millions of fans and a lot of variety among those millions. Ronda Rousey also took a shot at Joe Rogan on Burt Kreischer's podcast. Rogan was one of Rousey's biggest supporters. He often called her a once-in-a-lifetime athlete, comparing her dominance to Mike Tyson, saying she'd beat male bantamweights. But after she was killed by Holly Holm, Rogan admitted he bought into hype too much, was 100% wrong about her striking. So there was some bitterness from Ronda after that.
Is there a price point that would get you back in the octagon?
I mean, I have everything I want. There's nothing that would really change my life.
Let's do price points on this.
Okay, $1 billion.
$150 million.
$1 billion.
$350 million.
Billion.
You're just fighting Burt Kreischer.
All right, I will beat the shit out of you in your backyard for this house.
How long do I get to train? I was just talking to Joe on the walk over. How long for me to train to beat Ronda? That'll never happen.
He wouldn't know. He's not an expert. He's a fan with an audience.
That's interesting. Is that how you feel about you?
Never fought.
He fought Taekwondo, right?
Never fought. That's not fighting. It's not fighting.
Well, I'm going to exit this conversation. No,
I don't want you to get any bad DMs. We need to get out.
Tank Davis, Jake Paul press conference Wednesday, November 12th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Florida. Tank versus Jake press conference hosted by Ariel Helwani, open to the public Wednesday, November 12th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Kung Lee's son, Kung Lee Jr., competing at Fight Night San Jose on December 13th, Scott Coker's promotion. He's 0-1 as an amateur fighter. Even if he won 1 million fights, he would never make to UFC because that lawsuit that Kung Lee had with them. Main event at the UFC Apex on Saturday, Garcia versus Onama. First main event for both these guys.
After his win, he called me out, so when I got the fight, I wasn't really too surprised, I'm like, yeah, it's a good matchup. He's an upcoming fighter, I am also, so I feel like that's why the UFC is making this fight happen. I think he can beat me, you know what I mean? He sees something even that he feel like he can, he can beat. So I'm like, all right, let's get it. Right after that fight, I hit up my manager. I'm like, yo, let's make this happen. Mainly for this camp, we did a lot of sparring rounds. Before we was doing a lot of rounds anyways, but for this camp, it's mostly a lot of endurance, a lot of cardio, sparring. I train one of the best team in the world. So we're very prepared.
I wish it was in an arena. I really do wish it was in an arena. I wish people around the world could see this, or at least, I don't know what people around the world are going to see this, but I should say in an actual live setting. Here's very quiet. It's just different. So in an arena, you're feeling the energy, you're feeling the atmosphere. I think in here, it's all about just doing your job. You don't feel this energy that you would feel in the arena, and I think most people recognize that. I like to think there's going to be a high potential of there being a war. I think that's kind of what it's looking like. Have I seen him go for takedowns? Yes, during the Chikadze fight, he went for takedowns. I think he's going to do everything that he can to win, and I understand that. And I'm going to do everything I can to win. But at the end of the day, I'm planning to be violent. So anywhere you are in the fight, no matter whether on the feet, on my back, whether I'm on top, it's just going to be painful every single second, 25 minutes.